Sodi with PSP Perspectives at the Trending Technology Conference in Sacramento. I am here with Scott Morrison, who is the VP and Distinguished Engineer with CA Technologies. Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, listen, it's my pleasure.
So today at the conference, mobile technology is just huge. There's many sessions and all kinds of information. So could you talk to us a little bit about what do you think the advantages are of creating a mobile strategy?
Well, listen, a mobile strategy in 2015 is absolutely essential. And the reason is that mobile is a tremendously disruptive technology. And if you don't get your hands on it right away, you run a real risk of running into problems down the road. You know, a good example is BYOD. We've had a lot of issues with people starting to bring in their own devices and things like that. And that's great, because all of us want choice. All of us want to decide what's important to us in mobility. But a lot of organizations, unfortunately, dive in later and just try to impose something on this. And that's really a tactical solution. And as everybody knows, you may win the battle with tactics, but you're never going to win the war. So it's critical that we get out in front of all of this, that we have an effective strategy that plans where we're going to go as an organization so that we can really make the best use of this resource. Because otherwise, you know what's going to happen. You'll get disrupted completely out of the whole, mobile community.
So what role would governance and standards play in mobile strategy?
Well, governance is important because we have to have that level of control and understanding of what's going on. So let me give you an example. Like if you have a mobile strategy and you're really not worrying about the mobile devices and what people are putting on them and how they're effectively managing them, and then how they're potentially coming in and using corporate or government information, you're running a huge risk there. And so really we all have a responsibility as professionals in IT that are using mobility to be able to put out an effective governance strategy over that so that we can feel a little more secure in terms of how the information is being used. The big challenge really in the 21st century is security. It's really all about how we're protecting our information, how we're protecting the computing and IT resources that we've got. And if we're not doing that, we're just not doing our jobs. So it's critical to put in that formal governance layer, not just because we're being told to do it, not just because there's a compliance regime that says, if you don't do this, you are out of compliance, or you're out of whatever. Yeah. We have to do it because it's the right thing. It's what we need to do as professionals. We absolutely have a responsibility to protect the information assets of our organization, but also the information assets of the people who are part of that organization, or the people who have given up information that we have a real responsibility to protect.
Cool. So we have creating a strategy, we have governance and standards. Is there anything else you would recommend for someone who wants to really just dig into mobile?
Well, it's an area that's changing tremendously, and the thing I would advise people to think about is that mobile is tremendously important as the first step. But the other wave that's about to overtake us is really the whole Internet of Things, or IoT as it's called. And the Internet of Things is about how we begin to take everything from the Nest thermostat that maybe controls the heating and cooling system in your house, to your car, which is quite literally connected to the internet if you're buying a new late model car these days. These things are similar to mobile, and they're going to have the same kind of disruptive impact, and you've got to be ready for that. So the big recommendation I have for people in the future is to practice with mobile, because mobile is something we can get our heads around. We're all using mobile technologies all the time now. But recognize that the same kinds of concepts and the same kinds of governance, the same kinds of strategy need to be applied to the Internet of Things as well. So in a sense, mobile is great because it's something that we can practice with, but we better get it right, because once the Internet of Things comes, you haven't seen nothing yet. So.
Well, it sounds like very exciting times ahead of us.
Listen, absolutely. You know what? It's a great time to be in technology. We're all in the right place right now because this is a great revolution. This is like being in the Renaissance in Italy. Honestly, people will look back on this time in 200 years and say, that's when humanity went through a tremendous shift in how it processes information and everything like that. I hope we're going to be here in 200 years. But these are interesting and enlightened times.
Right.
But like any big revolution, it's only as good as we can manage it.
Right.
And so we really have to think about how we can use technology, and get the best out of technology. Use technology to help us do our jobs better. But at the same time, don't let technology become a crutch or a new vector for attack on
Right.
us. We have to be able to use technology to effectively protect ourselves.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for CA Technologies for being part of the conference and a sponsor. It's an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.